Not too long ago, NBC News posted a short segment on their channel in which it was entitled, "Loneliness has become an epidemic in the United States," right? Thought this was a very interesting topic. Of course, I will leave the description to the full video in my comment section, of course, below. And of course, we'll review a quick clip. The video itself is pretty short, but we'll review a quick clip from that segment. And of course, I want to share my thoughts on this topic as well, because I do think it's something that is indeed prevalent. Let's go ahead and watch this clip, and I'll come back with my thoughts.
The pandemic poured fuel on a fire that was already burning.
Dr. Vivek Murthy, the U.S. Surgeon General, says loneliness is an epidemic, the focus of an 80-page advisory he is releasing today.
We're used to thinking about smoking and obesity as clear public health concerns.
So you're saying loneliness is comparable to smoking in terms of the detriment to your health?
Yeah, in terms of the risk that it poses for premature death, yes.
Half of U.S. adults experience measurable loneliness, and it's greater among young adults.
When you struggle with loneliness, when you're socially disconnected, it increases your risk of depression and anxiety and suicide, but it also increases your risk of physical illness as well.
Loneliness increases the risk for heart disease, stroke, and among older adults, dementia. The cure, Dr. Murthy says, is not only personal change, but societal change as well.
What we need to do is actually rebuild social infrastructure in our country.
You're talking about changing the social fabric. That's been decades in the making.
It's been decades in the making, but it's also something that I'm confident that we can address if we put our mind to it and if we act together.
Among his recommendations, a focus on community organizations, mobilizing the health sector to raise awareness, and reconsidering how we use technology.
All right, so I thought this was an interesting topic for a number of reasons, right? As somebody who considers themselves an introvert and enjoys spending a lot of time alone, I actually do spend quite a good amount of time alone. I work from home. I, still interact with family and friends, whatever the case is, from time to time. But for the majority of the time, I am by myself, which honestly, to me personally, isn't that much of a problem, only because I feel like when I look back at my life, studies have shown in a lot of situations in my personal life, I feel like I was probably better off by myself, doing my own thing, whatever the case is. But that's neither here nor there, right? That's just my personal experience. The reason I thought that this is important, because I feel like this is, from the stats that, of course, the gentleman was sharing in terms of it being the new epidemic, in terms of, the effects that it's having on people's mental health, physical health. You saw the increase of heart disease and depression, suicide, this, that, and the other. I do agree that this is a thing. I do feel like I've seen it, maybe not even personally, but of course, maybe heard stories of people, whatever the case is. I do believe that this is a thing. And I do believe that it's growing at a greater rate ever since the pandemic took off, right? My thing is this. Again, coming from somebody who, there was a period of time when the pandemic was happening. I think there was a lot of people, the introverts united, when quarantine was a thing and we were told we had to stay isolated from people, wear masks, stay home, this and the other. There's a lot of people I saw say, myself included, oh, that's a breeze, man. What? Telling me to stay home and isolate, that was not a problem at all, right? So that was a breeze. That was nothing. But again, understanding that everybody is indeed different. Everybody has their own, there are extroverts who thrive off of the energy of others, human interaction, this, that, and the other. My take is this, right? I think the cure, or I would say even the problem as well too, the problem and the cure, right? I think the problem is for those of us who might feel like that, they are who this video is talking to. Maybe you feel lonely, you don't have a social circle, whatever the case is. I think the problem is, in most situations, my personal opinion, is that our society right now, from young and old, I feel like we lack direction. We don't have purpose anymore. Individually and as a collective, I feel like people are finding it harder and harder to find reasons to want to wake up in the morning. And, I feel like I even spoke on this in another video as well, too, the feeling of nihilism, right? What's nihilism? Nihilism is the concept of feeling like nothing matters. Why does this matter? Why do my efforts matter? We're all going to die one day. You know, I as somebody who sometimes adopts that mindset, I'm not going to lie, I do teeter between optimism and nihilism as well too. You know, but there are people out there in the world that only live on the side of nihilism, whereas it's like, what's the point of any of this? It's not going to matter. I'm going to die anyway. What's the point of giving a valiant effort towards anything that I want to do? I hear you. But it's like glass half empty, glass half full, man. I think the cure, right? So that's the problem. I feel like, in my personal opinion, people don't have the thing that's calling them to, you know, yes, I want to wake up tomorrow morning. Yes, I'm excited to go do this, that, and the other, whatever the case is. So I think it's lack of self-defined purpose, right? Because I think we're entitled as humans to define the meaning of our personal lives, not from what anybody else tells you, but we have that right. We are awarded the right to define what our lives should look like. And I think some people have not taken that opportunity. So I think that's the problem. The cure is exactly that, man. I think we need to be more mindful of, one, the current circumstances of the world around us. You know, so they even spoke on technology and how we're more so fixed on the digital experiences of learning people and the digital experiences of interactions. Not too long ago, I was learning about parasocial relationships, right? I think it was a psychological term, or whatever the case is. Parasocial relationships is basically, it's like the admiration of people that you don't necessarily know, right? So that can even be, you know, fictional characters on movies and TV shows. It can be social media influencers, people that you don't necessarily know, but you feel like you know them because of the interactions or whatever the case is, right? I would argue that, yeah, it is important to have human interactions. I do see the benefit of having human interactions, this, that, and the other. But in the event that you don't, lock in on your purpose, right? Find something self-defined by you, not from the pressures of anybody else. Find something that you enjoy doing, right? That can alleviate that burden of loneliness, right? Me personally, and again, I'm not saying because I am doing something, you could do it too. I never want to be the guy that says, hey guys, I can do it, you can do it too. You know, sometimes it's like that, but sometimes it's not. I do understand that, hey man, like things are different, circumstances are different. Ultimately, man, like me personally, speaking for myself, I would say that I am alone, but I'm not lonely. I am definitely alone, 100%. You know, I had a conversation with somebody else as well too, where there was the debate between alone and lonely. Being alone is speaking to the physical presence of your current circumstance. So, right? So if somebody called you right now, you wouldn't, you know, say, hey man, if you got a phone call right now, somebody asked you, hey man, where you at? Who's all over there? You wouldn't say, oh, I'm lonely right now. You would say, I'm alone, right? Speaking to the physical presence. I'm alone. There's nobody over here right now. I'm alone. Lonely is the emotional part. Lonely is the feeling of the lack of, you know, that interaction of humans or whatever the case is. I'm lonely is the emotional aspect. To combat that, I think all we need to do is find something that, whereas I think there's a healthy dose of human interaction that you could divulge in as well too, but there's also the element of like, nah man, I'm not lonely because this is what I'm doing. I have things to occupy my time and my mind. Like, you know, I used to laugh with colleagues as well too. I used to be confused when people would say they're bored. You're bored? How are you bored? It's like you would never hear somebody who's like working towards a goal or like has set something for themselves personally say they're bored, because you know exactly what you could be doing with your time. So it's just like, yeah, give yourself breaks. You know, I'm not saying that we should all be into like hustle culture and work 24/7, but it's just like there's things to alleviate this loneliness that you feel. And to combat that as well too, I would definitely say, yeah, man, have a healthy amount of human interaction. You know, I think even in this clip as well too, like I said, I'll leave the clip to the full video as well too. They were talking about things that they could do in terms of walking clubs. People are linking up just to walk together, and people, you know, there's things that you can do. Ultimately, I think I'm saying there's no excuse, basically. I think that's ultimately what I'm trying to get at. There's no excuse, bro. Yeah, you know, you know, I think we're in a realm right now with these devices in our phones where it's just like we might feel even a little bit more comfortable with the digital interactions. And honestly, I don't even think it's that bad. You know, I think it will, soften the blow of feeling lonely if you do have one or two people, or you're in, a Discord group, or, Reddit groups that you can chat at. I think that could be, I can see how that could get toxic as well too. A healthy amount of those type of interactions are good, but also couple that with something that you yourself defined as a worthy task for your life, man. That could be a lot of different things, man. That could be exercising, working out. That could be, hey, man, I'm going to go hard in my career. There's a lot of things that you could do that can combat this feeling of being lonely. I think what did they say? An idle mind is the devil's playground, right? Idle hands and an idle mind is the devil's playground. Give yourself something to do. Give your life purpose. You have that right, man. And it doesn't have to be these lofty, illustrious dreams as well too, man. Like, you could, man, I'm a huge fan of YouTube, clearly, right? You can learn to do so many things on YouTube. And again, even learning or entertainment as well too. But of course, I'm always going to preach using your time productively, right? So, balance, moderation. Bro, people don't have purpose. People don't have reasons as to why they feel like, man, I want to wake up tomorrow because I want to do this, right? As soon as you get that, man, I feel like loneliness, you would appreciate the time that you had to be alone because you can stay focused on what you got going on. You see the poster behind me, man. Stay focused. But I can understand how somebody who, has yet to discover the things that they like to do, or the activities that they like to partake in, or something that they diligently want to work towards, I can see how you can feel lonely, especially in your adult lives as well too. In the video, they also spoke about, it being, within our younger generation, but grown adults as well too. Some of us, our core opportunities to make friends and have, those interactions come from school and work, So a lot of us, if you work from home, or, whatever the case is, or you're, independent contractor, whatever the case is, and you don't have that opportunity to work with others, that could be a thing as well too. I understand that, but it's just like, there's no excuse, man. I don't think we sometimes we can be too light on ourselves, making excuses. Oh, poor me, what are the cases? I'm not trying to dumb down the effects of, the facts that this man was speaking on towards this video, because clearly it is a thing. But there's solutions for that, people, man. There's solutions for that, bro. You have the right to define, hey, starting today, I'm going to start doing this to occupy my time. Loneliness might start feeling like, the opportunity to be alone might start feeling like a blessing as opposed to a burden, right? So that's my whole take. I never want to ramble too long, but that's my whole take, man. I do understand that there are people out here that are hurting, man. And I also want to remind people as well, too, with this social media stuff, man, because I think it's a gift and a curse. These facts that were discussed in this video as well, too, are another reasons why we need to be mindful of the interactions of the people that we do know and the people that we don't know, right? Don't confuse the smile on the internet, on the smile, on the happy faces and the laughs and the kikis on, on Instagram as that's, and relay that as something that's really happening on behind the scenes. Because a lot of situations we know that that's not the case. Some people put on that big smile for social media, but when they put that phone down, their lives are miserable. We do know that this is a fact. So it's like, we got to be more conscious of that as well too, man. Check up on your friends sometimes. Well, and I'm trying to get better at that as well too. I'm always the person where I feel like I'm probably least likely, I'm trying to get better at being the one to initiate conversation, because I do know that's something that I kind of struggle with as well too. But I'm the type of person, like, once I do talk to you, I can talk to you for hours, right? It's like, it's weird. Like, I'm probably least likely to initiate conversation, but once I engage you in conversation, we can talk for 3-4 hours easily, no problem. So it's like, check up on your strong friends, man. Check up on, your strong friends need support as well too, I would say as well too, but check up on those that like, hey man, I do know you're probably going through a certain situation right now, whatever the case is. And be mindful that everybody's going through something. Even the strong friend is going through something at the end of the day as well too, right? So we're all battling, we all have these battles, but there's resources out there. It is going to take a level of accountability on your part as well too, knowing that, hey man, I'm feeling a certain way and I don't like feeling like this, so I need to do something about it, It's accountability at the end of the day, man. We can't be too light on ourselves, knowing that we are, there's a plethora of resources out there if we just tapped in. Reach out if you feel like, hey, man, I do need to be around some love right now, man. I'm not feeling too hot right now. I do need to reach out to somebody. And it's going to take a level of vulnerability as well, too. Let people know what you're going through sometimes, bro. Sometimes you can't build a wall so high around yourself and think that people just can telepathically understand what you're going through. Sometimes it is going to take for you to lower that wall, be a little bit vulnerable, reach out to somebody like, yo, man, you got a minute? Like, I'm not feeling too hot right now. What are the cases, man? And if you are sincere and genuine in those emotions, people would most likely be more than willing to come to your aid, because we all know that it's hard out here. But that's the word for today, man. I thought this was an interesting topic because, again, I do know that loneliness is indeed a thing, and people are leaning more so on the side of nihilism, feeling like, hey, what's the point of my life? What's the point of the world as a whole? I'm just going to wait until my death meets me. And I feel like it's just flipping a switch, man. Probably easier said than done. Flipping a switch mentally to feel like, you know what? Nah, I'm going to define it. I had the right. It's like, all right, cool. If I had the opportunity to define what my life is going to be, it's going to be this. And from this point on, I'm going to work towards seeing it doing that. That's going to make you feel like, all right, cool, man. Like, I'm still in the game, or what are the cases, you know? But that's my 2 cents, people. Definitely leave some comments down in the comment section, man. What do you guys think about that, man? What do you think is the reason of the loneliness, and what do you think is the cure, right? If we're saying that loneliness is the new epidemic, what do you think is the cure? I would love to hear your thoughts, questions, comments, concerns down in the comment sections. Let me know what you guys think. I will catch you on the next video.